The Christmas Banquet, by Nathaniel Hawthorne. "I've tried here," said Roderick, unfolding a few manuscript pages as he sat with Rosina and the sculptor in the summer house, "to capture a figure who sometimes drifts past me in life's walk. My past sorrows, as you know, have sharpened my sight into the dark corners of the human heart, where I've roamed like a lost soul in a dim cave. My torch nearly out. But this man, this type of man, is a hopeless riddle." "Well, then introduce him," said the sculptor. "Give us a starting hint." "Indeed," replied Roderick. "He's the sort I could imagine you carving from marble, with some unrealized science granting him a clever imitation of intellect, yet he lacks that final, priceless spark of a divine maker. He looks human, perhaps a finer specimen than most you meet. You might call him wise, he can be polished and refined, with at least an outward conscience, but the soul's call to soul is exactly what he can't answer. When you draw near, he's cold and thin a mere mist." "Bah, I think," said Rosina, "I catch a faint glimmer of what you mean." "Then be grateful," her husband answered, smiling. "But don't expect more light from what I'll read. I've pictured such a man as, what he likely never is, aware of the flaw in his spiritual make-up. I think it would leave him with a chill unreality, shivering through the world, yearning to trade his icy burden for any real grief fate could heap on a human." With that preface, Roderick began to read. In an old gentleman's last will there was a bequest, his final act oddly fitting a life of gloomy quirks. He left a hefty sum to create a fund, its yearly interest to pay for a Christmas banquet for 10 of the most miserable people to be found. His aim wasn't to cheer these 10 sad hearts, but to ensure that the harsh or bitter look of human discontent wouldn't be lost, even on that one holy, joyful day amid the thanks of all Christendom. He also meant to keep alive his own protest against life's course under Providence, and his grim dissent from any faith or thought that finds sunshine here or pulls it from heaven, choosing the guests, or picking from those claiming this bleak hospitality, was left to the fund's 2 trustees. Like their late friend, these men were dark humorists, obsessed with counting life's black threads and ignoring the gold ones. They did their duty fairly and wisely. The first banquet's guests might not have convinced every onlooker they were the world's most grief-stricken, chosen to mark the sum of human pain. Yet, on reflection, it was clear they bore a range of hopeless woes, some from causes seeming small, which only sharpened the blame on life's nature and workings. The banquet's setup and decor likely aimed to reflect the testator's view of life as death in life. The hall, lit by torches, was draped in deep, dusky purple curtains, decked with cypress branches, and wreaths of fake flowers mimicking those strewn over graves. A sprig of parsley lay by each plate. The main wine jug was a silver urn shaped like a tum, pouring into small vases modelled after ancient tear holders. The stewards, perhaps to their taste, hadn't skipped the old Egyptian jest of seating a skeleton at feasts, mocking mirth with a death's head grin. Such a shrouded, bony figure now sat at the table's head. Some whispered, truth or not, that the testator himself had once walked the world with that skeleton's frame, and his will demanded he sit there yearly at his own grim feast. If true, it hinted he'd held no hope of joy beyond death to offset the evils he felt or fancied here. And if the puzzled guests, seeking life's meaning, peeked past the veil at this deathly shape for answers, they'd get only a blank stare from empty sockets and a skeletal smirk. The reply he'd imagined getting when he asked death to solve his life's puzzle, and wished to echo for his guests. "What's that wreath?" several guests asked, eyeing the table's trappings. They meant a cypress wreath held high by a skeleton arm jutting from the black shroud. "It's a crown," said a steward. Not for the worthiest, but the most wretched when he proves his claim. The first guest was a soft, gentle man, too weak to fight the heavy gloom his nature invited. With no outward reason for misery, he'd lived quietly wretched, his blood sluggish, his breath weighed down, a night fiend pressing every beat of his yielding heart. His woe seemed as deep as his core, if not one with it. Another bore a sick heart, so sore that life's constant rubs, foes' blow, strangers' bump, or friends' loving touch, left ulcers. As such folks do, he spent his days showing off these sores to any who'd look. A third, a hypochondriac, saw magic in his world. Monstrous faces in the fire, dragons in sunset clouds, fiends as fair women, and evil under nature's beauty. Beside him sat one who'd trusted mankind too much in youth, hoped too high, and, after many letdowns, turned bitterly sore. For years this misanthrope gathered reasons to hate his kind. Murder, lust, betrayal, ingratitude, friends' falseness, children's base instincts, women's impurity, hidden guilt in saints. All dark truths cloaked in grace or glory. Each vile fact he added to his list, each bit of sad knowledge he lived to hoard, made his kind, trusting heart groan in pain. Next, head bowed, came an earnest, fiery man who'd felt a grand calling since childhood, yet found no voice, form, or listeners for it. His life was a bitter self-questioning. Why don't men see my mission? Am I a fool? What's my purpose? Where's my rest? All through the feast he drank deep from the tome like urn, hoping to douse the inner fire that burned him and helped no one. Then came a once gay man who ditched a ball ticket, now seeing wrinkles on his brow and grey hairs too many to count. With sense and heart he'd squandered youth on folly, reaching that bleak spot where folly leaves us, and wisdom's friendship is hard won. Cold and alone he sought it at the banquet, wondering if the skeleton was she. The stewards added a broke poet from the almshouse and a sad fool from the street. The latter, with just enough wit to feel a void, he dimly tried to fill with sense, roaming and moaning at his failure. The lone woman had fallen short of perfect beauty by a slight squint in her left eye, a flaw so small it tormented her soul, not her pride driving her to a veiled, solitary life. So the skeleton sat shrouded at one end, and this poor lady at the other. One guest remained, a young man, smooth-browed, fair-cheeked, and stylish. He seemed more fit for a cheerful Christmas table than this cursed crew. Murmurs rose as he scanned the group with a bold, curious look. What was he doing here? Why didn't the skeleton rise and shoo him, shame, out? Said the sore-hearted man, a new wound opening. He mocks us! We'll be a joke to his tavern paws. He'll stage our woes. Never mind, sneered the hypochondriac. Let him eat the viper soup. If there's scorpion stew, give him some. For dessert, Sodom's apples. Then if he likes our fare, he can come back next year. Don't bother him, murmured the gentleman kindly. What's it matter if misery's truth hits him early or late? If he thinks himself happy now, let him sit for the pain to come. The fool neared the youth with his usual vacant plea, touched his hand, then pulled back, shaking his head and shivering. Cold, 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 he muttered. The young man shivered too and smiled. Gentlemen and madam, said a steward, don't judge our care or sense so poorly as to think we let this stranger, Gervase Hastings, join without weighing his claim. Trust me, no one here has a better right to his seat. The steward's words settled it. The group took their places and tackled the feast's grim work, soon jarred by the hypochondriac shoving back his chair, claiming stewed toads and ditchwater wine were served. Fixed, he sat again. The wine, flowing from the urn, carried dark moods, not cheer, but deeper gloom or a wild wretchedness. Talk varied. They shared tales of folks fit for such a feast. Grim history, crimes that were cries of pain, lives wholly bleak, or seeming happy till misfortune crashed in like an uninvited guest. Deathbed words hinting dark truths, suicide's best means, rop blade, poison, drowning, starvation, or charcoal fumes. Most, as sick hearts do, vied to prove their woes supreme. The misanthrope dove into evil's depths, roaming its dark with flickers lighting ghastly scenes. He dredged up old, wretched thoughts, treasuring them over heaven's bright truths, then hid his face and wept. It was a feast fit for Job or any age's deepest sufferers, and truly every human, however blessed, could claim a seat here in some dark hour. Yet the young stranger, Gervase Hastings, couldn't catch the mood. At each deep, torn-out thought from sorrow's core he looked lost, more than the fool, who grasped them with his earnest heart. The youth's talk was cooler, lighter, bright but shallow, unscarred by pain. "Sir," snapped the misanthrope to Gervase, "don't speak to me again. We've no common ground. Your words just now prove my friends and I are mere shadows to you, and you to us." The youth smiled, bowed, drew back, and buttoned his coat as if the hall grew cold. The fool stared again and murmured, "Cold! Cold! Cold!" The feast ended, and the guests left. Stepping out, it felt like a sick dream or a stale heart's breath. Over the year, these sad souls glimpsed each other briefly, enough to know they walked the earth real enough. Sometimes two met in twilight, cloaked in black, sometimes in churchyards. Once two flinched, spotting each other in a busy street's daylight, like lost ghosts. Surely they wondered why the skeleton didn't roam noon too. Whenever life's bustle forced them out, they always saw the young man who'd oddly joined their feast. Among the joyful, his eyes sparkling, voice light and careless, they muttered with the elite rage of misery, "Traitor! Fraud! Providence will seat him here yet." But his calm gaze met their dark shapes, perhaps sneering. "First know my secret, then match your claims." A time marched on, bringing Merry Christmas again, church praise games, joy by every hearth. The hall lit up once more, its purple curtains and death, torches framing the grim decor. The veiled skeleton sat high, raising the cypress wreath for the most wretched. The stewards, seeing misery as endless, picked new faces this year. One bore a blood stain in his heart, a death he couldn't fully blame on his will, tormenting him with endless inward trials till no thought or feeling strayed from it. A mother, once, now desolate, had lost her baby to smothering years back, forever haunted by the thought of it struggling in its grave. An old lady trembled constantly, her shadow quaking on the wall, her lips and eyes showing a soul shaken too. By what, her muddled mind hid, but her woe earned her a seat. Some raised brows at bluff, red-faced Mr. Smith, plump with feasts and a twinkling eye, yet cursed with a heart that could kill him if he laughed too hard. He joined to soak up gloom and save his life, he claimed, really hoping it'd work. A couple was invited for cruel jest, their mutual misery a known clash beside them, an unmarried pair, split by faint barriers long ago, now too far apart to reunite, facing a lonely eternity. Next to the skeleton sat a money grubber, his life in ledgers, his soul locked in bank vaults. Baffled at his invite, thinking himself lucky, till the stewards insisted he didn't know his own woe. Then came Gervase Hastings again, unruffled, taking his place as if his claim was beyond doubt, his easy face showing no grief. Sharp eyes peered into his and shook their heads, missing the silent bond, the unforgeable mark, of those who've plunged into woe's depths and met kin there. "Who's this youth?" asked the blood-stained man. "He's never walked the dark valley. I know all who have. What right has he?" "It's wrong to come without sorrow," quavered the old lady. "Depart. Your unshaken soul makes me tremble more." "No shaken soul here, I'll vouch," said Mr. Smith, forcing gloom to dodge a deadly laugh. "I know him. He's got bright prospects. No place with us wretches, not yet born to it. Guests, cut in the stewards, bear with us. Our reverence for this right forbids misuse. Welcome this youth. None here would trade hearts with him. I'd take that deal," muttered Mr. Smith, half sad, half smirking. "Nonsense. My heart's the only true misery. It'll kill me yet." The steward's word stood. The group sat, the youth silent now, listening hard as if a stray word might reveal a vital secret. And truly, for those who could hear it, the talk of these sorrow-blessed souls held riches, depths no other key unlocks. Amid the darkest gloom, brief light flashed, pure as crystal, bright as starfire, casting such glow on life's riddles that guests nearly cried. The answer's near. In those lit moments the deepest mourners saw mortal grief as mere shadow, cloaking a divine truth too bright to see unveiled. "Just now," said the trembling woman, "I saw past the surface. My tremor stopped." "If I could live in these flashes," said the guilty man, "my heart's stain would wash away." This talk baffled Mr. Smith, who burst into the laugh his doctors feared, dropping dead with a grin, his ghost perhaps stunned by its sudden exit. The feast broke apart. "You don't tremble," the old woman said to Gervase, eyeing the corpse. "Isn't it awful, him vanishing so? Warm, strong, gone. My soul quakes always more now, and you're calm." "If only he could teach me," sighed Gervase, breathing deep. "Men pass like wall shadows, their deeds, passions, feelings flicker and fade. Not the corpse, nor the skeleton, nor your endless shaking can give me what I seek." The guests left. We won't detail every such feast, held yearly per the will. Over time the stewards sought far off notables whose was stood out, their growth perhaps richer for it. Exiled French nobles, broken empire soldiers, fallen kings, all sat here. A cast-off statesman could reclaim greatness for a night. Aaron Burr joined once, his ruin deep and storied. Stephen Girard came when wealth crushed him. These grand unfortunates drew wider pity, not for deeper pain, but as lofty examples of woe. At each feast Gervase Hastings appeared, his face shifting from youthful bloom to manly grace, then age dignity he alone never missed, yet each time murmurs rose, from those who knew his bright life, and those who shunned his unshared bond. "Who's this unmoved man?" they asked endlessly. Has he suffered? Sinned? No sign of either. Why's he here? Ask the stewards or him. Came the reply, "We know him here, successful, spotless. Yet he comes to this grim feast, a marble statue among us." Ask the skeleton, maybe it knows. It was a marvel. Gervase Hastings lived brilliantly, wealth beyond his grand tastes, a fine library, generous aid to the needy. He'd sought joy and found it in a loving wife and promising children. He'd risen high, his public record clean. Not popular, he lacked the warm traits that win crowds. Even close friends, trying to love him, found little hold on their hearts. In moments craving reality, they shrank from him, unable to give what they sought, like pulling back from a shadow's hand in dim light. As youth's shallow heat faded, this trait grew clearer. His children came to his knees coldly, never climbing unasked. His wife wept in secret, almost guilty for shivering in his chule embrace. He sometimes seemed aware of his coldness, eager to warm himself if he could, but age numbed him more. His wife died, warmer in the grave, his children scattered or passed, and old Gervase, untouched by grief, walked on alone, needing no company, yet joining the dismal feast each Christmas. His seat was now aright. Had he claimed the head, the skeleton might have been ousted. At last, at 80, this pale, high-browed, marble-faced man entered the familiar hall, his calm look still sparking discontent as it had at first. Time had changed little but his shell. He sat, scanning the table as if hoping some guest, after so many failed feasts, might share the mystery. The warm, deep secret, life's core. Enjoy a pain that makes shadows real. "My friends," said Gervase Hastings, taking a stance his long habit made natural. "Welcome! I toast you all with this tome wine." The guests replied politely, still unable to embrace him as kin. "Here's who joined this time a once zealous clergyman, of true Puritan stock, had strayed from faith's rock into a misty maze, grasping at false realities, torn between past and present, mocking his own woe. A theorist, one of many yet self-proclaimed unique, had a plan to end all earthly pain and bring paradise. But, blocked by doubt, bore the world's grief alone. A plain man in black, perhaps Father Miller, despaired at the world's slow end. A proud, stubborn man, once rich and powerful, had crashed in ruin, his noble nature fit for hell's elite. A philanthropist, feeling millions' woes yet powerless, stayed miserably idle. A man lost in today's chaos mourned his vanished party loyalty. An orator voiceless now sank into gloom. Two women, one a starved seamstress, one a restless soul with no outlet, graced the table. 3 or 4 failed office seekers, sick at heart, joined a side table needing the meal. A stray dog, tail down, gnawed scraps. Miserable as any street cur, these wretches sat, the skeleton raising its wreath, Gervase at the other end, stately and cold, awing but not stirring them. He could have vanished without a cry. "Sir," said the philanthropist to the old man, "you've seen so much were here yearly. Surely you've learned deep truths. How blessed if you could ease this mass of pain. I know one misfortune," answered Gervase quietly, his voice weak and words slipping. "Mine own, yours," cried the philanthropist. "With your calm, bright life. How can you claim that? You won't grasp it," said Gervase feebly. "None do, not even those like me. It's a chill, a lack of fire, a sense my heart's a vapor, a nagging unreality. Seeming to have all men chase, I've held nothing, joy nor grief, all things, all people. As someone here once said, are shadows on the wall. So with my wife, children, friends, so with you now. I'm a shadow, too." "And the afterlife?" asked the clergyman. "Worse than you," said the old man, voice hollow. "I can't feel it enough for hope or fear. Mine's the woe. This cold heart, this unreal life. Ah, it's colder still." Just then the skeleton's dry bones collapsed, dropping the cypress wreath. As eyes flicked away from Gervase, then back he'd changed. His shadow no longer danced on the wall. "Well, Rosina, your verdict?" asked Roderick, rolling up the pages. "Honestly, it's not fully successful," she said. "I sense the character you aim for, but more from my own thought than your words." "That's inevitable," said the sculptor, "since his traits are all negatives. If Gervase Hastings could have taken one real grief at that bleak feast, describing him would have been far easier. Such people, rare but real, are hard to imagine existing here or beyond. They're outside everything. Nothing tires the soul more than trying to hold them close.